Mercury retrograde is upon us. On March 14th, Mercury begins its retrograde period. It's going to start in Aries and then it's going to rewind all the way back into Pisces. I do believe for some people, because of time zone differences, it's going to occur on the 15th of March. I think it's occurring like late on March 14th for some people, and then it would be like early for some other people in different time zones, March 15th. Now, before I get into it, feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and you feel so inclined. I have my email in the description if you have any questions. I have my website in the description if you would like to book a reading with me. I finally opened up for live video calls. I was just doing written reports for a while, but change is amongst us. And I also have an email list going. So if you sign up for that, you will receive exclusive discounts and also exclusive astrological insight by yours truly. Okay, let's get into it. So this Mercury retrograde, I know we say it every time, like, oh, it's gonna be crazy, it's gonna be crazy. But I really am sincere when I say this is gonna be a really intense Mercury retrograde, and that's because of all other things happening in March. So we are currently in a Venus retrograde, and I have a whole video on Venus retrograde on my page. So basically, when Mercury enters its retrograde phase, it's going to be much more intense because it's coinciding with Venus retrograde. Not to mention we have 2 eclipses this month. And something really interesting is the day that Mercury begins its retrograde phase, March 14th, that same day, we are going to have a Virgo lunar eclipse. Okay, and I already made a video on the eclipses for March, which is also on my YouTube channel. So you can go and check that out if you're interested in what to expect from the eclipses. Okay, so basically, long story short, this is going to be a really interesting Mercury retrograde. And then on March 30th, Neptune enters Aries. So needless to say, March is a really important month astrologically. So this Mercury retrograde is basically going to be amplified. Now, it is starting in Aries, okay? So Mercury in Aries, even in its retrograde, it usually notes some type of, I don't want to just use the word conflict, because conflict is kind of like an aggressive word, I guess, but yeah, there might be some kind of dilemma that you have to tend to. It might be deep-seated. It might be something that kind of keeps circling back around that you finally have to kind of do away with once and for all. Now, wherever this Mercury retrograde is transiting for you in your houses, that can kind of pinpoint where this conflict might exist. So if this Mercury retrograde is going to be transiting your 5th or your 7th, this could note a relationship issue that you have to address and get clear on with your partner. If it's occurring in your 3rd or your 11th house, that could note having to address some type of social dilemma with a peer, with a friend. If it's occurring in your 6th house, that can note some type of social dilemma in your work life, like maybe you have a colleague that's really getting on your nerves. So it's really going to depend on where it is, okay? But usually there's some, or 4th house family members, things like that. Usually there's going to be some type of little tiff that arises that you kind of have to figure out how to deal with. And this can note too a need to compromise, a need to get kind of willing to budge, willing to be flexible, especially because Mercury's going to retrograde back into Pisces, okay? Mutable sign, adaptability. So there is a need here to compromise. There's a need to collaborate. There's a need to learn how to get along, essentially. And this can also note too, in the potential for having some social difficulties, this might come down to a matter of reciprocation. You might be in a relationship, whether it be a platonic relationship, a romantic relationship, a work relationship, a family relationship. There might be something going on where you are giving 80% and that other person is giving 20. So there might be an imbalance in a relationship in your life that you have to get clear on, and you might have to, take advantage of that kind of aggressive Aries energy and lay down the law. Create good boundaries, make your needs known. You know what I mean? Like, you might just have to kind of be more outspoken in order to get what you want from your relationships and in order to really reap the benefits of them. So that's something that can happen. Now, when Mercury does move back into Pisces, this can kind of cloud communication. So Pisces is a very elusive sign. It's very mysterious. It doesn't fare well in the material world. It's much more spiritual. It's living in fairy tale land, la la land. So there's kind of a sense of delusion here, and this can really cloud communication. So when Mercury does finally move back into Pisces, and I'll write the date on the screen of when that's actually going to happen, there's a need to really be concise in how you communicate with others. That way nothing is getting lost in translation, okay? So I use this example a lot when talking about like Pisces Mercury, but it's so tricky that you can be told, meet me at the coffee shop at noon, but what you actually hear is meet me at the bar at 3. So, things can just get lost, which also includes potential for being forgetful, potential for not keeping track of your appointments, of, things that you've scheduled. Maybe someone asks you to do something and it just slips your mind, forgetting to respond to emails, things like that. So I would definitely encourage you during this time to keep tabs on everything you're doing, write things down, set reminders, set alarms, check lists, check rules, check everything 3 times over. And this applies to signing contracts as well. So if I don't want to tell you, oh, don't make a big purchase or a big decision during this time, because the fact of the matter is life cannot stop for a retrograde, okay? Especially not in this economy. So when you get an opportunity, like let's say you've been house hunting for, months and months and months, even up to a year, maybe more. If you finally find the right house for you, jump on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't worry, just take advantage of the energy and the momentum, especially if it's something you've been wanting for a while. This Mercury-Venus retrograde alignment can actually kind of accelerate certain things in our lives. So I would just kind of take advantage of that if the opportunity arises. Just make sure when it comes to legal agreements and like actually signing things, make sure you have, if you need a lawyer to look it over, do that. If you need to have someone look it over, do that. If you need to reread it a million times, if you need to ask a bunch of questions for clarity, don't be afraid to do that. You just want to be proactive and prepared. You don't want to be scared, right? So just have things kind of lined up so that you feel really confident going into this Mercury retrograde, and you don't feel like you have to stop living your life, because that's just not realistic, and it's not really, we can't afford to just stop living our lives, okay? Now, when Mercury does move back into Pisces, it's interesting because Aries represents new beginnings and Pisces is endings. So this kind of ties back to the possibility of having some type of social dilemma where an issue arises that has been persisting. So that Pisces energy is like, okay, you got to put an end to it once and for all. Now, for some people, not everybody, so I don't want you to worry, but for some people, there might be some deal breakers that pop up. There might be this feeling of like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. You're not respecting my boundaries. I can't keep letting my needs be known. So the relationship has to end here, especially again, because Venus is also retrograde at the same time. So for some people, if you're in a not so good relationship and you've stated your needs, you've stated your boundaries, and your partner's not respecting them, or your friend isn't respecting them, or your coworker isn't respecting them, this is a time where you might have to cut the cord, or, you get what I'm saying, okay? This could know breakups, basically. Now, this isn't going to be everybody, okay? It's just going to be for people who maybe they're in a relationship where there's just no reciprocation, or they continuously feel disrespected. This might also occur for couples who have different life goals, like especially because Aries does, rule over our ambitions. So it might be that you've kind of approached a fork in the road with your partner where, here's just an example, maybe you've come to the conclusion that you want kids and they don't, and it's like something you can't compromise on, so then you have to go your separate ways. Now, for some couples, this time period can allow for you to reconnect. There's this nostalgic energy, especially when Mercury does go back into Pisces. It can allow for basically like a reunification. is that even a real word? Just some type of, you know, getting back together. And even for couples who already are together, there's this kind of energy where you can reclaim the spark, you can rediscover all the things that you kind of fell in love with in the first place. And because Mercury, even though retrograde, we kind of associate with like slowness, Mercury's still a fast-paced planet. It actually can accelerate certain things in our lives. So for some people, this can note a joint decision between you and your partner, or even like you and a business partner, where you finally kind of take the plunge, you take the leap of faith, you move forward with a plan. It can allow for like a little opening for some people and for some couples, where you finally have a little opening and you can kind of push through with some of the things that you've been talking about and really wanting. So I want you to take advantage of the energy here and take advantage of opportunities that arise. I don't want you to be scared or worried that if you say yes to something, it's like not meant to be or whatever. Like, I believe timing is divine, and if the timing is in alignment, even if we have a retrograde going on, you never know. Amazon was founded during a Mercury retrograde. Okay, TikTok was founded during a Mercury retrograde. And I know what you might be thinking, oh, TikTok has had a lot of problems, but it's still here and it's like the biggest app in the world, okay? And really the problems have only existed for a few countries. So for everybody else, it's fine and dandy. So, you know, you can still make big moves in a Mercury retrograde and reap success from it. So I don't want you to feel like you can't. That's something really important that I want to emphasize. Okay, now, with all of this feeling of like nostalgia, and especially because Mercury retrograde is beginning the same day we have a Virgo lunar eclipse, this is a great time period to address old stuff in your life that you feel is preventing you from moving forward, which is that Aries energy. Again, there's kind of a push-pull between your future and your past. So this can give you an opportunity to take care of stuff that you've been putting off. This could be certain, because we are in that Venus retrograde again, finances can come into play. This can help being able to take care of old bills, like maybe you get a financial uptick and it allows you to tackle certain financial clutter that has been lingering, that's been weighing on you, okay? For some people, this could even note a new job offer, a promotion, especially if this is occurring, this Mercury retrograde is occurring in your 2nd house, your 8th house, and your 10th house in some cases, and in some cases 6th, because that does have a lot to do with like work and our routine and stuff. But for some of you, yeah, this could actually be really good for your finances, you know? And with that separation between like past and future, some other ways that can manifest is like even taking care of material clutter in your home, donating things that you've been hoarding, getting rid of stuff you no longer use, getting rid of expired goods in your pantry, doing like a big spring cleaning. That's the other thing. It's cute that this is occurring as we move into spring, because I think spring cleaning is like such an appropriate thing to take advantage of during this time period. So for a lot of people out there, especially for my people that are like Aries, Pisces rising, Aries, Pisces 6th house, Aries, Pisces 12th house, that's another one. This is a great time to get rid of clutter. This can do so much for your psychological well-being, like getting rid of stuff that you don't need, taking care of old things, which includes medical stuff as well. Aries and Pisces can actually have a lot to do with health. Aries is a very physical sign. Pisces is I mean this in the best way possible. It's kind of a vulnerable sign. Pisces is in a lot of cases associated with like a weakened immune system, just because it does oppose Virgo, which rules over health. They do have some intersecting qualities. And Pisces notes a need to tend to your health, including your spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical health, okay? So this is a good time also to like make a doctor appointment, and if it's accessible, affordable, and you haven't been in a while, this is a good time to get your yearly labs. This is a good time to just kind of keep up with routine health maintenance. And I don't want that to scare you either. I don't want you to feel like you're gonna have like a health crisis or anything, but I do want you to be proactive, and I want you to take preventative care and just be good to your body during this time. Again, if it's affordable and accessible. I live in America, so for some people, even if you want to go to the doctor, you can't. It's really messed up. So just do what is within your limits and within your reason. I also want to say too, when it comes to health and stuff, I also want to say too, when it comes to health stuff, always seek professional medical care. Astrology is not a substitute for actual medical advice, okay? This is for entertainment purposes only. Now, this is the obligatory: be mindful of your technology, take care of your automobile, be mindful about, traveling as a whole. That's just because Mercury rules over modes of transportation. It rules over some technology. Uranus and Aquarius energy rules over some other technology, but Mercury rules over technology that allows us to connect and communicate with others, like phones, computers. So that's the technology you want to protect during this time. If you don't have a screen protector or a phone case, maybe invest in one. Back up all your files on your computer. Make sure your car has an oil change. If you are booking a flight during this time, or you're planning for traveling, just, check everything 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Create a packing list, a checklist, so you know exactly what you have to bring. Invest in a luggage tag, like with your name and number on it. Also, it might be a good idea to invest in a suitcase or luggage that is unmistakably yours, okay? Bright pink with polka dots. Something that when it's coming down the conveyor belt, no one can mistake yours for theirs, basically. It always amazes me. I don't fly very much and planes really scare me, but the few times I have flown, when I'm waiting at the conveyor belt, it is insane how many bags look identical. It's honestly kind of crazy. And I would be so paranoid that someone would grab my bag. So please, this is I think a really good way to make sure those types of mistakes don't happen. I had a friend whose luggage was recently taken. They got it back, thankfully. But those are the things that can sometimes happen. And I believe that was actually during the last Mercury retrograde. So yes, be very mindful during this time when it comes to traveling, and make sure you label your things, especially because when Mercury's in Pisces, like I said, there's a forgetfulness. There's a disorientation. Things can go missing, things can go lost. Now, I will say, as much as things can kind of go missing, this can also know finding something that has been lost for years and years and years. Maybe you had a photo album and you don't know where you put it and you want to reminisce and you find it in the attic, whatever. Things that have gone missing a while ago, you can find them. Okay, so that's something cool about this time. But this general sense of forgetfulness and finding lost items, there's a spectrum to astrology, so that can manifest again in finding something that's been lost or losing something, okay? So please be extra mindful about your things. And when it comes to cars and traveling and, automobiles, just make sure everything is in working order with your car, especially because Aries is a fast-paced sign and it likes to move. And also, this is kind of random, but make sure that the things that are powering your life on a mechanical level are good. It might be wise to get your engine checked in your car. It might be wise to invest in, if need be, a new phone charger, a new battery for something. Whatever in your life requires power and juice, just make sure it is in working order and it is in good health. And again, that goes back to your own physical health. Your body is your vessel, it's your vehicle. It requires energy and fuel to keep going. So make sure you're taking care of your body during this time. I really can't stress that enough. And again, I don't want that to scare you or concern you. I just want you to be proactive and take good care of yourself. Okay, I think that's everything. I'll put the end date as well on the screen of the Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrogrades are never really that long. This Venus retrograde, on the other hand, is a month and 2 weeks. So kind of annoying. But yeah, that's everything I can think of. And let me know in the comments where this Mercury retrograde is transiting for you in your houses. You want to look at the house that is Aries ruled or Pisces ruled, because it will go back into Pisces, but it's going to start in Aries. And I believe it's starting at the moment it goes retrograde, it's going to be Aries 9 degrees. So for Placidus users, that's the degree you want to look for. My cat, that's the degree you want to look for, because that's the degree it's going to start at and roll back. Okay, so let me know in the comments what house this is moving in for you, and I can respond and give you some insight. I just didn't want this video to be like super long. It probably already is though, because I don't know how to stop talking. And thank you so much for watching. Again, like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and you feel so inclined. My website is in the description if you would like to book a reading. And I hope that everyone is having a really good March so far. I hope this Venus retrograde has been kind to you.